Welcome, everybody, to the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework Biweekly Sync. I'm your host, Hugo Bernier, and today we have a very special call. On our agenda today is we're going to give you the updates on the latest from the SharePoint Framework. We're going to update you on the community project updates. We're going to have our picture time with Together mode, but instead of demos today, we're going to have a chat. We're going to have coffee, tea, and conversations. And if you want to queue up some questions that you'd like answered, you can go to aka.ms/comecallqa and enter your questions. Of course, we can also enter your questions in the chat if you want. But if you don't have access to the chat for some reason, you have access to this website. And of course, we have a lot of people in winter break, so we appreciate everyone being here today. All right, let's get started. We have fancy broken animations. we have a bunch of initiatives in the Patterns and Practices community, or the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community. We have our community videos that you can access through YouTube at aka.ms/community/videos. We have our LinkedIn groups for discussions. Of course, we have our open source initiatives, as well as sample galleries, various sample galleries that you can access to learn how to use the various technologies. And you can find all these resources in one place by going to aka.ms/community/home. Now, we talked about some community calls. We have a whole bunch of community calls in the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community. We have the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform call, which is on holiday break right now. Well, we'll talk about that very shortly. We also have our Power Platform monthly call, our Office add-in monthly call, and then every other week we have the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community biweekly call, or the Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework community call. You can download all the recurrent invites by going to aka.ms/community/calls. And our next call for the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call by Microsoft speakers is going to be on January 9th. Yes, we are on break. So it's Thursday, 7 a.m. Pacific time after that. And we're going to continue without breaks. And we're happy to have coffee and conversations on Thursdays. And please enjoy the winter break again. If you'd like to present on any of these community calls, you can actually reach us at aka.ms/community/request/demo. Tell us what you'd like to talk about and what you'd like to demo, and we'll find the best schedule for you. And we look forward to seeing what you have to share. All right, now, if you want to learn about how to contribute to this community, we have some guidance for you. And to talk about this, we have our friend, David. David?
Hugo, yes, thank you, sir. So, friends, here we are. We are at the end of the year, excited to have a new year ahead of us with new opportunities. And some of those are things like sharing is caring office hours. So these are calls and times that are going to be set up for you to just drop in, ask questions on how you can contribute to the community. Maybe you're still stuck on how to contribute via GitHub or something like that. You just want a second set of eyes. We're going to be there for you. We're also setting up those videos for on-demand viewing, and we're going to still continue the live sessions that are safe space opportunities that teach you from beginning to end. Don't worry, those are not going away. We're just looking to scale to make sure that we can provide a more efficient opportunity for all of you to contribute to the community. So be on the lookout for that. Those office hours are starting up the week of January 8th. Then, once you have contributed, we absolutely are still excited to recognize you. That is not changing for 2024. We are bringing our community recognition program back in 2024 with plenty of badges, but we're not there yet. You have a few days left to get those remaining 2023 badges. Season of getting, slice of samples, all the above, all available, but get your samples in and contributions in now. It is free, it is powered by Credly, and it is a fantastic way to showcase all the amazing work that you're doing in the community. We do need you to opt in, though. You can do that at ak.ms/community/recognition. It is absolutely free, no cost, so take advantage today. Hugo, back to you.
Thank you. And now, great, I have a craving for pumpkin pie. All right, to talk about the latest from the SharePoint framework, let's pass it to our friend Vesa. Vesa?
Cool. Quick updates from the engineering side on this one. So the chart is growing. Usage is growing. Of course, there's a small holiday slowness always happening within this time of the year, but then it's typically starts growing again in January. So the reason why we're showing this is just to make sure that everybody understands the SharePoint framework usage is growing worldwide dramatically. It's actually growing faster than we thought, which is awesome. So across all of the different applications. Let's go to the following slide. The following slide, I didn't change this from last time. If we focus on the next year, especially, that's the interesting part. Just to recap here a few things. So we're looking into investing on having new SharePoint page placeholders for extensibility options. So for example, overriding the navigation controls and all of that to be supported in SPFX. Page toolbar extensibility support is in the plans for SPFX 19 or 20. More flexibility of Viva Connection extensibility. And so Viva Connection is a big focus area still in the future, but we will more do also investments in the intranet and the SharePoint scenarios. Copilot integration, SPFX Copilot integration scenarios, that's actually taking up a lot of our resources within the next semester, within the next 6 months. I cannot go too much details there right now, but there's going to be interesting scenarios for sure. AI is all around within Microsoft and everybody is investing on that. So there's going to be interesting scenarios for SPFX as well across Microsoft 365. And then we're looking into also aligning on the Teams packaging model. So basically do that unified packaging model with SPFX, which is important so that every single Microsoft 365 solution can be packaged to the same model. And then tooling improvements is basically referring to updates for the Node.js, as an example, the Node.js 20, whenever the time is right. Unfortunately, right now, we cannot yet upgrade to Node 20 because SPFX Yeoman Generator and SPFX has a dependency on the Node.js version, which Microsoft is using internally for SharePoint Online. So we, as a platform team, we cannot upgrade yet. We can upgrade only after the SharePoint Online teams has been upgraded. So that's kind of limitation on the version there. And I guess that's it for SPFX update side. Hugo, screen sharing stopped.
Yeah,
so,
I was just going to mention that. Yep. And he's got no microphone either. So someone muted. What?
What?
How is that? He got demoted. All right, hold on.
Okay. Got it.
No, nobody puts Hugo in the corner. Well, it says you're a presenter.
I don't see him
All right.
in the presenter.
You're back.
There we go.
Back.
Okay,
yeah.
There we go. That was interesting.
Thank you. Was it something I said?
Who is this Hugo person again? Okay.
I have to say, I'm very excited about the extensibility options and page toolbar accessibility support. I'd love to see in the chat what people are most excited about with these new updates for SPFX planned in the new year.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So speaking of things that are coming up, let's talk about our various open source projects. And to get started, let's talk about PnP.js with our friend Julie.
Julie could not be here today, so the host will be handling this slide.
Oh, well, fine then. If I don't get muted again. So our latest from the PnP.js client-side library, version 3.2.1, released on December 12th, where we reworked some caching and pagination logic. We added missing parameters, which is add using path and list form update value, and we added photos with dimension support. Version 4 is underway. We have a few issues to get rid of first, and the version 4 nightly builds are coming soon. You can get our nightly builds by going to npm install at pnp.sp at v3 nightly-save. That just rolls off the tongue, really. And of course, go take a look at our documentation, our Twitter, and our LinkedIn group to see more. All right, and to talk about our CLI for Microsoft 365, who do we have?
Me.
All right, I'm just not sure anymore.
Okay, so anyway, quick update from from the CLI team. So we are just about to release the 7.3. So if you want to know what will come in a few days, at the next stack, we added some really awesome commands for it, or we added new commands that allow you to external content. So you want to leverage your line of business data to Microsoft 365 search, and also to make it be usable pilot. So this is really awesome, and we added an awesome command, doctor command, that will allow you to check if the graph connector is properly configured. So if you don't have confidence, if you're doing right, be sure to use the CLI to gain that confidence. And we added a new command in the Microsoft Teams area that allows you to create an online meeting on demand. So this is very awesome if you want a meeting created in some kind of automation flow, really, right? Be sure to check out all the release notes under aka.ms/CLI Microsoft 365 M365 /notes. Connect with us on Twitter or X if you prefer, and join our Discord server to chat with us, meet with us, share ideas, problems, whatever. Okay, happy holidays, coding, whatever. Thanks. Back to you, Hugo.
Thank you. And make sure to use our dev proxy to test the untestable. If you ever have to try simulating API errors, simulate API behaviors, or mock API response, the dev proxy is an amazing way to do this without having to deploy resources in production. So go take a look, aka.ms/devproxy/beta. We have beta. We have what's new right now are JSON schemas for configuration and responses. We have support for intercepting options requests, and we have, of course, bug fixes. But very soon, version 0.14 is going to be released in January 2024, or at least we hope. You can find out more, again, by going to aka.ms/devproxy. And if you haven't used this tool yet, I strongly recommend you go take a look. All right, and let's talk about the SPFX controls. Vesa, would you like to jump in for this one?
Either way, so the React controls latest version is from the late November, and a few additional new controls there. Definitely recommended if you're building anything on SPFX. These are the easiest way to reuse existing code and don't worry about the functionalities what the controls are bringing. So there's a lot of controls available in the React controls if you're using React. Also the property controls are awesome. The latest version is also from the late November version 3.15 over there. Both of them are supporting the latest version of SPFX being the 1.18.2. But I guess that's a quick recap on those. Have a look on them. If you have any requests on the reusable controls, please do let us know because we're always looking into what is actually needed and where we can be helping you to be successful.
Fantastic, thank you. And then let's continue with Viva Connections Toolkit for Visual Studio Code version 2.4.0. So you can actually, yeah.
Adam probably as the leading person. Adam, by the way, your microphone is pretty far from your mouth. I don't know why you sound like you're calling from a tunnel.
Really? Yeah, maybe.
Much better. Much better.
Yeah, better.
I'll try to be just louder. Okay, anyway, so the Viva Connections Toolkit for Visual Studio Code. If you are doing any kind of SharePoint framework development in Visual Studio Code, this is an extension that you must have and must try and must use. It will boost your productivity significantly in this area. And as of now, we have a minor release done some time ago, the 2.4. And in this minor release, we introduced a seamless integration with Teams Toolkit. So Teams Toolkit allows you and boost your productivity in apps around Teams, not only, but mainly around Teams. And one of those can be extending Teams using an SPFX web part with a new tab. So you can now use the same scaffolded project by Teams Toolkit and Viva Connections Toolkit to provide additional actions, features, and for example, upgrade guidance or rename action to your project created by Teams Toolkit. And we are currently working towards V3. The features that we are currently working on are total refactor and rebuilding of the sample gallery. So currently we had 4 sample galleries, but we will have 1 single with additional filters to have it in a single view, which will be more present. And we are working on one of the awesomest features in this extension, which is creating CI/CD pipeline for GitHub, and we will be adding support for Azure DevOps and totally rebuilding this experience, the scaffolding experience of it, and also automating more steps that now are kind of manual. So if you are using CI/CD pipeline in action with application authentication mode, now you need to register your application on your own, we will automate it for you in the next minor release. So be sure to check it out. And yeah, happy coding, everybody. Back to you, Hugo.
Thank you. And I love this extension, by the way. All right. So let's talk about the PnP modern search. Is Casper on?
I do not believe Mikhail is off as well. So they did just update it. I can jump in because Mikhail just gave it updates. So yes, modern search office hours are available courtesy Casper. So definitely take advantage of that. It gives a great opportunity. They did just do a release, which you can check out, v4.10.1. So thank you for all those, especially Gabsmo as the first time contributor. Added some native LPC support. So shh, don't tell the PG. It's our little secret, everybody in the world. So definitely take advantage and take a look at all those things. It's a great way to utilize search and provide a custom search experience. Hugo, back to you.
Fantastic. And we also have the SPFX samples. So we have two repositories, SPFX extensions and SPFX web parts, where we love sharing the cool stuff that you've done. If you have sample web parts or sample extensions that you'd like to share, please go to these URLs here. And of course, you can find all the samples at aka.ms/m365/samples. And I will be processing new pull requests today. So hopefully next call, we should see some brand new shiny samples. Thank you, everyone, for contributing. And speaking of contributing to samples, we also have another type of sample, which is the adaptive card extensions. And
yes, that's your ace in the hole, if you will, right? See, yeah, absolutely. I make that joke every time. So there are no new samples. It's the holidays, everybody, so people are off on vacations. We know there may be a few processing, so we will take care of that. But we are, as Hugo said, welcoming new samples. Get them in there. We would love to recognize and include them. And you got a few days left for those 2023 badges. So if you actually submit your sample now, you get the 2023 badge, and then update the documentation next week, you get both. So it's like a 2-for-1. Hugo, back to you.
Way to hack the system. All right. And let's actually share our camera if you're interested. We have a picture time where Vista is already in the together mode, or maybe not anymore. There you go. Yeah.
That's it. Good.
There you go. So turn on your camera if you want. And again, you don't have to worry about making your hair pretty because look at me. And we'll
it's a whole row back here. We're just a hairless row.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, Jim.
There you go.
That's well.
Man, I tell you what, this AI is something else.
So this is just to show how awesome this community is.
We do have a bit of a smaller attendance today, but that's fine. Let's wait a few more minutes. That's nice. So a few more seconds, and we can grab AK Funimation from here. Let's actually do this. So let me put the recording on, and let's do some hand waving. We'll grab AK Funimation out of here as well. Thanks everybody for joining. Awesome to see you. Also, and all the best for 2024. It's going to be an awesome year for sure. Excellent. That's really, really cool. Cool. Hugo, let's go to the normal agenda of today.
All right. Well, the normal agenda is not so normal today. Today, we're going to have coffee and conversation. And again, we know a lot of people are on breaks, so this is a great opportunity for us to... Yes, I agree with you. So if you go to ak.ms/come-call-QA, you can actually start putting some questions in the QA chat, and we're going to go through them.
Yay!
Yes.
Yes.
And do you want to, Hugo? Do you want to bring that URL up? Actually, it can show the Q&A to everyone.
Yeah.
As we're.
It doesn't
link
work.
is in the chat.
It doesn't work for me.
Even in a private window.
Yeah, you'll have to do it.
Okay, I can do that. Let's see here.
I'm persona non grata.
There we
There
go.
you go. Thank you.
Showing up okay?
Yep.
All good. You get a bit
All right.
zoom if you want. So
Can I have your? Let's go. There we go.
That's
all right.
Cool.
So there is one that already has a thumbs up. Couple. Okay. Are there any end of or year-end offers to I can speak today. Essentially, you're wanting to know if there's any opportunities for year-end certificates. There actually is. There is a Microsoft Cloud Skills Challenge. It's called 30 Days to Learn It. And so I will put it in the chat here for you to check out. And I will actually bring it up here on the screen for those watching on demand. You can start your journey. You actually have a variety of areas in which you can learn. So you've got Azure, Microsoft 365, Power Platform, which has the PL100 security. What happens when you go through these is you have 30 days to go through all of the lessons that are associated to each individual challenge. And then you get 50% off code for the exam. So when you've completed it, as long as you've done it in 30 days, you get that 50% off the cost of a certification exam. I think it gives you quite a few weeks or months out into the future to schedule that as well. So it's not like you have to use it within the 24 to 48 hours that you first get it, but that's a great opportunity. I know a few people that have gone through this. They went through the training. You get the code pretty immediately, and then you can schedule your exam if you want to do that. So great opportunity. And again, there is a variety of things here. I don't know if this is something that's ongoing because obviously there's a lot more than just the PL100 for Power Platform or Microsoft 365, the ones that they are offering right here. There is more. So it may be that they swap them out, but it's a great opportunity to kind of get those lessons and get a discount on your training. Let's see.
I was not aware of this. This is actually cool. So
yeah, actually, my son just went through the PL100 one, so that's how I know, because I was looking for ways for me to not have to pay full price for his training.
Yeah.
And now I'm speaking from experience. Don't do the whole thing twice expecting to get it for free. That's not how it works.
At least under the same name.
That's right. All right.
Cool.
Let's see.
That's good. What else? What else? Is there a JSON creator tool, something like Viva or Drag and Drop? That's for Chris probably. Well, it depends on what are we creating with JSON. So
yeah. Let's see. Is Chris still here? Chris still here? Chris,
I'm here.
I know that there's. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly what Vess is saying. It depends on what you're trying to do with the JSON, right? So I assume it's formatting. So if we're assuming it's formatting, I can share a few tools. And here you go. I'll just share those.
Yeah, SB list here. Pete is sharing on the list.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Is the HTML
you need to zoom
formatter.
as well. Let's see. Can you? Are you
Zoom.
control and scroll bar?
I can't
in your mouse?
zoom.
Control and the scroll bar. Control
Yeah,
and scroll bar.
it's up in the little
Control.
ellipses.
Wait, I
in the
can
right
zoom
hand
this
corner.
one. I can't zoom our HTML formatter, which is hilarious.
There you go.
There you go. All right, well, that looks great. I'm just going to reset it because I just want to talk about it.
Wow.
So this is a tool we have available, right? So if you want to start with HTML, it's not the visual drag and drop tool you just suggested, but if you wanted to start with HTML, you've got HTML and CSS, right? It can generate the format for you. And that is, I'm sure David will drop a link at some point, but it's in on our tools. Let's move on to another one where I can zoom. So this is a really cool tool from Sergey Sergeyev. Part of our PNP stuff is SP Formatter. This is an extension both for Edge or for Chrome, right? And it allows you to edit things right here on the page, right? What you see is what you get over here, which is really, really cool. So check this one out. I use this one all the time. This is a paid product called Formata, right? So if you want to check this one out, this one it is not cheap, but it is really, really impressive. Everything you can do with formatting. So it is that true drag and drop experience you're looking for, and a whole lot more in terms of templates and everything else. So if you want to check that out, they got a free trial on there as well. And this is put together by one of our community members as well. There is. And then finally, this one is from Yannick. This is not for formatting, but this is for site designs or site design studio, but it is a drag and drop JSON editor as well right there. I believe it's a web part. So you want to check that out. And then, of course, there's other paid tools and other things out there that are not specific to this type of JSON stuff you can get at. But those are the tools I'm aware of for some of these things. Okay.
There's also a very cool VS Code extension that's if you want to visualize large JSON files, I posted the chat. It's called JSON Crack. It's an unfortunate name, but it's a great tool that allows you to visualize your JSON.
Yeah,
What's
I've
with
been
the name?
using it.
Wow.
I mean, I'll be honest. I agree with you. I've been using it, and I'm addicted
To Jason.
to the tool. Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
tool.
Oh no, I didn't say that. No, I didn't. Okay.
That's going to be
All right.
interesting in the, by the way, in a Copilot summary, but just saying. Anyway, so
Hugo is peddling crack, and David's addicted. So hey.
wow.
Let's see what other question.
All of these changes, Hugo, immediately when you leave Microsoft. What? Anyway.
So I'll give everybody a little time to think about that top one. What upcoming developments in the next year are you most excited about? This is a good one, I think. With so many tools, products, and development models, what do you recommend the average developer to focus on? Wow, that's a great question because there are so many, and they're all moving in progression at the speed of ludicrous. So how do you choose? Well, I'll jump in. I know Hugo, Chris, Vesa all have something to add, but I think it depends on where you want to focus, right? Because it's good to have a broad understanding of the platform and the technologies to go maybe a little surface level. If you want to go deep, you kind of do have to choose one, right? So I think it depends on what your aptitude is and maybe what your area of expertise is for your business, or what it should be, what your bosses want you to do. Because you do have things like, well, SharePoint Framework, for example, versus Power Platform. And even within the Power Platform, you could get a little bit more segmented in what it is that you want to learn. So I think you have to ask yourself first, what areas do I enjoy? Because also, if you're not having to do it for a job and you are just choosing an area that you think, I want to focus on this, enjoyment will get you to the finish line a lot more than just learning it. It helps. So Vesa, Hugo, Chris.
Yeah, I think all which it really comes back on what are you trying to achieve, and also this is the classic. It depends. It really depends on the skill level, experience, objectives, all of that. What would be the right tool? It's really hard to kind of define, and also it's incredibly hard right now because there's so many tools, so many options, so many products also for Microsoft to even know the differences and advantages and disadvantages each of them. That's one of the reasons why we have all of these calls, and we try to show variants of the tools so that people know what's at least available. But it is interesting. It's don't invest on sandbox solution though. So as Chris is saying on the chat, no SharePoint sandbox solutions, no, don't. And SharePoint Designer, not good. So just saying.
And there's one area I would say that we don't really get to talk about too often is I'll see developers that are like, oh, I don't want to learn TypeScript. I just want to continue with JavaScript. The transition from JavaScript to TypeScript is so nominal, right? It takes no effort to actually get to there, but it will help you find your mistakes really early. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to waste time trying to diagnose issues in my code. I just wanted to find issues if I misspelled the variable name or if I used the wrong variable type or something like that. TypeScript will help you immensely with creating code that is well, at least it's going to give you an error when you're building it, and then from there you can learn a lot of the technologies like things like React and things like that. I don't know if there's any other tidbits like this that you want to share, Chris, David, Vesa.
I'll take a slightly different approach. This Chris, and I would recommend starting with the Power Platform. So, just if you're really just starting to get started in development and so on, I think the Power Platform is highly approachable. You can build all sorts of stuff with integrations all over the place. But if you're truly focused on what we call the more traditional development stuff, then out of all of the models, I would say SPFX. Right? Yeah. You can do all sorts of stuff with Teams Toolkit and some of the other areas, right? But SPFX is a really good starting spot because you can build, the web parts, you can build the extensions, and you can go crazy and get into Teams and some other stuff if you want to. And then you can bring all that stuff in. It really is just a kind of a wrapper around whatever you do want to develop, right? So if you want to work on the AI stuff, you can do that in SPFX, right? But if you want to work on some stuff where you just want to connect to a list, we'll grab PnP.js and do that as well. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, and Steve Corey brought up a great point
that's
here
a really good comment on the chat.
in the chat, actually, and I'll share it here too, is get yourself a dev tenant, right? So if you just go to Google or Bing or whatever your choice of search engine is, and do a search on Microsoft, I guess I can't actually spell the whole word, but it still knows what I'm trying to say. Then you will find set up a Microsoft Developer Sandbox, and it'll walk you through how you can do that for free. And it's pretty cool because it is renewing, right? So if we look here, it is a full E5 Developer Sandbox, 25 user licenses, last for 90 days. But is perpetually renewing. So what that means is that as long as you're using it for developmental purposes, it will perpetually renew. It just is giving you those 90 days. So don't think that, oh my goodness, do I have to spin up a brand new one and lose all the solutions or migrate all the solutions after 90 days? No, it will continue to renew that for you at no cost, but an absolutely imperative way to learn how to do that. Because it is 100% free, and unless it's already been put, I just put the link in the chat, but for those that are watching, just do a search on Developer Sandbox and that will get you access to that 100% free. Instant access spins up immediately. It will give you in that instant access a weird domain for your solution, but just make sure you write all that down, user ID, password, and you'll be good to go. Very, very valuable. Thanks, Steve, for the reminder there.
Yeah. And don't underestimate the Viva Connections toolkit extension as well to get you started. Yeah.
True. Vishu has a question related on the dev tenant. Can we enable Copilot in dev tenant? Right now, the dev tenants do not have a Copilot feature in it, but there is an internal discussions on potentially that making that happen in the future. So, obviously, we want people to be able to extend Copilot and build extensibility of Copilot, and the only way you can do that is to have you access to the Copilot. So, sooner or later, that will happen. Not yet.
Yes, and on that topic, there's another question that showed up that's similar. It's not at the top, but I'll just read it. About M365 Developer Sandbox, is it always personal, or can I submit to one for my whole company as we develop a product on SharePoint? So it's not meant for production. We'll say that up front, right? It is meant for development and testing and all of that. That being said, that's that question right there. That being said, it does come with 25 user licenses. So theoretically, you could absolutely spin one up. If you've got a group of developers in your organization, you would all like to share the same tenant space for your learning, testing. I think that is perfectly acceptable, but you're not looking to use it for production purposes. They do have analytics that will look for that and have found it. So
yep.
you do not want to risk losing real data.
And as a rule of thumb, I would definitely create a dev tenant for every single developer, because if you're doing development in a one tenant, when you're doing the actual development, not integration testing, not final testing, all of that stuff, you want to control that tenant. You do not want somebody to go to the app catalog and remove your packages or do something else, and you'll be like, wait, what happened? And then that's just confusing you. So the developer tenants is primarily intended to be one developer tenant per developer. And then on top of that, you want to have the production testing or quality testing tenants if you want to. So.
All right, let's just mute. There we go.
All done.
Okay. All right. If you could add Copilot to any non-Microsoft product, what would you choose? My bank account. Here, Copilot. Make me millions.
Copilot would go, I've gone ahead and paid all the bills I thought you should pay, so you have nothing left.
No money. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Here's one maybe a little more hit home for you. Vesa, do you have any plans to improve the entire gulp process using SPFX, since it's a little slow?
There's an ongoing discussion on doing that. So there's a great community tool which is doing this partly, which is actually removing some of the by design steps and making it faster. But there's a continuous drive to make that faster and evolving that for sure. And I think with the Webpack 5, that should be coming much faster. unless I'm completely mistaken, with Node.js 20 and all of that. But there's a ongoing discussion related on that. It is a little slow. We do understand that. So
in the meantime, are we allowed to talk about SPFX fast serve as an option?
that's what I was referring to as the faster one. Now, SPFX fast serve. Internally, there was a interesting discussion related on this. Why can't we adapt this one? Blah blah blah. The architect who's technically responsible of SPFX all up, not going to say any actual names and all of that to avoid any confusion, basically said that yes, sure. Of course, SPFX fast serve makes things faster because it's skipping actions and events and tasks, which are by design intended to happen. So yes, you can use SP fast serve. That's not intended to be migrated as such as part of the product, as part of the SPFX tool pack. But we're looking into optimizing the tool chain otherwise.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that there's some actions with fast serve that will not be captured, as we said. Like, for example, if you change the manifest of your web part, right, no matter what, you'll have to stop and restart your fast serve. Otherwise, a lot of things won't take effect. I've learned that the hard way by trying to change the logo for the for the web part, and it never took. So there you go.
All right. Let's see. Here's another one that's similar, I think, to the discussion we had before. Is there any programming language you recommend to learn first for learning M365 SP, which I assume is SharePoint PA? I don't know if that's Power Apps, Power Automate Development, or something else. If I want to do more than WYSIWYG, and I think we touched on it again. Those are three different spaces. To Chris's point, right? You have M365, which is largely going to be a lot of TypeScript, JavaScript, stuff like that. And of course, that's with SharePoint. Power Apps obviously is different. So I think it depends on the area that you're wanting to dive deeper into from a programming or pro code perspective, if you're thinking more along that line. So it depends. I mean, obviously M365 SP, I'd say TypeScript, like Hugo said, the difference between JavaScript, which is, and for those that are not aware, TypeScript is just a strongly typed version of JavaScript, right? So they're not two totally different languages. They are connected and related. So it's good to learn, I would say, if you're looking at those two, TypeScript beyond WYSIWYG. But Chris, Vesa, Hugo, feel free.
TypeScript definitely, and just to be clear on TypeScript is a development time experience difference. It is transcompiled to be JavaScript. So there's eventually everything what you build in TypeScript will be JavaScript. That's how the system works. So definitely good thing. And of course, if you're talking about Power Apps development, then Power Apps has its own languages and models and syntax and all of that. Then that's a bit of a different storyline then. So
yeah,
TypeScript,
but there's
TypeScript.
pro code side of Power Platform,
That's fair.
which also uses TypeScript as well. So you're kind of giving yourself probably a double opportunity there. I will say probably not VB script, and I just found this out after spending 2 weeks mastering it. So probably don't want to do that.
No, David. Half of the people in this call are young enough that never heard about VB script.
VB script.
People can't even understand the joke anymore, probably.
Well,
yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about, David.
Yes, of course. Don't worry, Hugo. That's just because you've forgotten. It happens at a certain age.
I'd love to hear your opinions on. So if you make the jump and you go into React, you can use React hooks, or what's the traditional React classes, right? And React hooks is a bit more modern, more contemporary than React classes, and it's definitely a simplified experience as far as I'm concerned, especially if you're dealing with refreshing items with changing states and things like that. But I'd love to hear your opinion. Hey, anybody? Chris, David, Vesa?
I can start and quickly say that it depends on the preference and all of that stuff. The one thing what I always hate about these discussions is that I need to pick a side, which is like, no, you don't. It's black and
Yeah.
white. No, it's not. It's
No.
not. It's you don't need to, and it's the strong defending on this is much better than the other one. No, it's not like that. It doesn't mean that you need to choose Power Platform and then desert everybody else, or you need to choose React hooks and then the other one. Everybody who's using the other one don't understand the brilliance of this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not what it means. So we can, there's multiple ways of doing things. You don't need to pick a side and basically defend your opinion against everybody else. That's not the intention. So.
Yeah, and one of the disadvantages of React hooks right now is if you're just getting started and you're searching for sample code somewhere, it's really hard to be able to tell apart, what's the traditional React, React.js, React classes, React hooks, until you copy and paste the code and then realize nothing works, right? And eventually you figure it out. But that's one of the disadvantages of the diversity of things in the React world.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if Chris wants to come off of mute, but I think he made a good point in the chat, a good understanding of HTML and CSS. So yeah, I mean, I think we all almost take that for granted, right? We see the question and we automatically think to maybe level 2, level 3 of development, but understanding the foundational layer that all this is built on, which is HTML. And again, I'll stress CSS a ton because you can do so much with it. I mean, literally with CSS, you can animate things on the screen. And Hugo and I have a whole session on this at the Community Days Microsoft in Miami in a month, plug. But it's super powerful, and understanding how all that works then is going to help you as you start learning all these other technologies. So I'd underscore what Chris said, and Chris, if you want to add to that.
Nah, you got it.
Okay. Very good.
Now, someone in the chat talked about SCSS, right? And so we just talked about how TypeScript helps you kind of create stronger code, does type checking and things like that. You can make the same types of mistakes with CSS, where you can name a class the wrong class name, and then you can't figure out why your styles are not kicking in, right? Why it doesn't work. With SCSS or SAS, one of the advantages is you can actually create strongly typed CSS classes as well. So that way, if in your code, when you're typing, styles dot my web part, if you made a mistake in your CSS class name, it will scream at you, and that's definitely a good way to kind of speed up your development cycles. Now, it takes a little bit. You know what? It doesn't take that much to learn SCSS from CSS, but if you could literally copy and paste your CSS into an SCSS, and it would mostly work.
Mostly work.
Mostly.
Okay, is there a way to limit a store app in the tenant app catalog to certain users besides item level permissions of the package?
That's the only way to do that. So it's basically you can filter the item level permissions, and then that would be the way to expose the solution only for those set of people. So there's no other ways of filtering that out currently, at least. Maybe we should have some sort of audience targeting on the web parts and all of that. Technically, definitely possible, but is not supported currently.
Or just set up a separate SharePoint site for each person and then deploy
True.
the app.
True.
All right. Any visibility on when custom groups will be available in web part toolbox?
Custom groups available. That has been requested quite a few times. No ETA at the moment. I think we still need to keep on asking. So it's important that we keep on asking that. Maybe go to the SP DevDocs issue list and basically I had that request as a new feature over there. We have this a bit of a nasty situation with the user voice used to be the way of requesting things, but then we messed up the things with Microsoft, and now there's multiple locations where people can ask things, and it gets complicated on voting that. But no custom groups for time being, unfortunately. So.
All right.
That's actually a good point from Christopher. That is a good point. That is really good point related on filtering on the solutions. You can only do it in an old app catalog UI, not in the new app catalog UI. That's actually a really good point. So.
Yep. Let's see. For SharePoint or any of the Power Platform tools, is it better to learn development for business purposes and daily use, or is it better to keep things out of the box? I'm the only person at my company that creates SharePoint sites and utilizes the Power Platform tools, and I want to utilize it to the best of my ability. I think that, I mean, again, open to everyone, but this is where I think things like this call are invaluable. I label the community calls crystal ball into the what's now, what's new, and what's next, because it is hard when you're the only person in an organization. You sort of get tunnel vision trying to fulfill the needs of all of your either internal or external clients, and it can be hard to have a landscape perspective of all the things that you can do with the technologies. So learning the foundation out of the box is great. Trying to understand what else you can do with it. Sometimes you get blinders. And so coming to these calls, seeing what everyone else in the world is doing with the technology opens your eyes to the possibilities, and it may spark an idea that is useful for you there. For those that are also still learning, I will say, pick something that you're passionate about and make a project out of it. Whether, again, I'll mention my son is getting into the Power Platform and getting into development, and he was struggling with building something that resonated with him because he lost interest. And so find something that you're interested in. I gave him a topic around sports. He started building, he got excited, he found all different ways to work with it. And then also use the community, because he knows people like Chris and Hugo and Vesa and April Dunham. He was able to ask those questions. Well, you all do too. We have this community here. It is open to all of you. So ask questions, get help there. I will say, I think one of the other ideas, and Hugo, if you're still on, Hugo always has a really good idea, which is find what your leadership is looking for in a solution that doesn't exist, and then go try to build that. Hugo, I won't steal your idea, so I'll let you kind of flesh that out a little bit more.
Yeah, well, the secret is find what your leadership is looking for. No, here's a consulting trick, right? Go look at the annual report, and most organizations will have an annual report. So go look at the annual report, because that's what your leadership is measured on. And if the annual report says that we're going to focus on X this year, look at, is there something that you can do that will help you improve X? And you will be the hero, because you don't even have to ask for, hey, can we work on this? Like, it's directly aligning towards their objectives. It's helping them buy their yacht or second yacht or third yacht. So they will be happy with you doing that. Definitely a good way to get started.
Yep. Because as soon as you go to them with a solution, they're going to be more willing to listen. Sorry, yes. Chris, didn't mean to cut you off.
I just wanted to say the idea of the out of the box versus custom development, right? Go out of the box wherever you can. To me, there are times we build full on tools, right, in 365 or around it. There's going to be a lot of times for that, but most of the time, as an M365 developer, you're an integrator, right? You're a person just coordinating tools or sites across things. You're plumbing, right? You're just routing data, through the flows and everything else. And so, to me, if you can keep things out of the box as possible, right, that's really going to help you take advantage of as many of the features as possible, right? So if you've got someone that comes and says, "Hey, I love the news web part, but I really just want this one extra piece on it," say no. Right, because it's going to be bad for everybody, right? If you rebuild that thing, and then when Microsoft adds the next news feature, you're in trouble, right? So keep things out of the box wherever you can. Don't do crazy DOM injection, right? Just say no to all of that, right? They bought a product, right? Use the product for what it can do, and then customize where possible. And again, just try and keep things integrated between the tools. I think is probably the most important and most frustrating thing. So
yeah, and to add to that, I always say reuse by build. That's your acquisition decision tree. Can I reuse what's out of the box at all costs? Right. If I can do that, then do that. If I can't, is there something out there that I can buy? And by buying, I can also mean $0. Right. There's lots of open source initiatives and things like that you can leverage. So do that. And then if you've looked at everything, you've tried everything, and there's just nothing that will meet your needs, then by all means build, right? And this doesn't apply to only the entire solution. It also applies to solution components itself. So for example, we've talked about the PnP reusable controls. Don't go and build your own version of like I don't know, property pane control. The reusable controls are there, right? And that's part of that reuse by build solution acquisition model. Back to you, David.
Oh yeah, that's great. That is good. But by and large, if you're trying to learn, find something you're passionate about, right? And
Correct.
that will help. That will absolutely help fuel you as you maybe find something frustrating that you're trying to troubleshoot. Because at the end of the day, if you're just trying to follow a path that someone else has defined for you, you're going to get frustrated and move on. But if you find something, and again, it could be a life hack, right? It could be you organizing clothes or shoes or some area of your life that is going to improve it, then you have even more incentive. And so don't think that everything has to be, well, this is business. This is all business, because these technologies can absolutely be used to improve our personal lives as well. And then you can start seeing, as you put that together, how it could equate to a business use case. All right, let's see, what else do we have here? This is an interesting question. Is it still best option to build SPFX projects with Angular framework using PnP SPFX UML generated by our PnP community?
If you're building with Angular, which is absolutely possible with SPFX, that is the only generator which we are aware, which will do the automatic integration automatically. Now, I know that Stefan Bauer has not been evolving that for a while. He's been actually incredibly busy with CSS side and then building other open source projects. So I cannot confirm if that's super up to date on the Angular versions and all of that stuff. So I would actually double check that. So what would be the way of using, what is the currently supported Angular versions, and what if you would use a newer version with SPFX with no framework, because that's the no framework option, what you have within the out-of-the-box UML generator. But not as super familiar with the Angular development or the latest in Angular development. Not sure if somebody else has experience with that.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, so I think it's an interesting question, because if you read it like I originally read it, is it still best option to build with Angular framework using? So is the intent Angular framework? But maybe there's a more superseded question, which is, what is the best option to build with? Which could be subjective, but I'll rephrase that and say, well, what is the investment by Microsoft?
Or maybe,
right?
David, the question is, what is the meaning of life?
That's right.
Saying there's a larger question.
Meaning of life, SPFX, there's a correlation. So best option, maybe if you just say there, what is the best option? And the best option maybe is, where's the investment by Microsoft, right? So I think, Vesa, you can chime in a little bit more here, but I think the investment for SPFX is more on the React side, right?
Correct. That is correct. Yes, we are using React internally in Microsoft, and we're building SharePoint Online and a lot of the other experiences in Teams using React. One of the reasons for that one, quite simply, was that the Angular was not in the maturity level whenever we started building the modern experiences quite a few years ago. So React was already isolated. They were components, React components, and you could actually use multiple React components, and they have their unique state as they're put on the page. The problem with Angular was that you cannot isolate the stage. It's always assuming to be a single page application, SPA. And that was kind of the challenge. Now, Angular did evolve from there. We even had a keynote in the European SharePoint conference with Google coming out on stage together with us on showing how you can do SPFX with Angular. But that's many, many years ago. But React is the chosen one within Microsoft, and that's getting the most of the investment.
Good. Okay. Is anyone working on modernizing the remaining _layout pages and/or search admin pages?
Ooh, that's a good question. So is Microsoft internally investing on modernizing any of those older pages? Currently, I don't think we have a active projects on modernizing some of the the older pages which still are using the older things. This is just a matter of prioritization. So those resources are, as those pages work, even though they're classic, they work seamlessly and they don't have problems. So therefore, we want to allocate those resources on building something new rather than modernizing something which, yeah, looks ugly but works from an admin perspective. And that's basically just a prioritization of the resources. Probably at some moment of a time, sooner or later, and this can be quoted even coming from me, sooner or later the classic SharePoint will be completely gone. Now, no timelines, no nothing. We haven't said anything. There's no internal decision on dates either. I can share that openly within this call. But you can assume that in 2052, there will not be classic publishing within a SharePoint Online, if even the SharePoint Online exists. So at some moment of a time, classic publishing, classic experiences will go away. When we will share that advance, and we will give everybody a fair heads up whenever that's happening. 2052, yes. That's
now,
something like
it's boy is your face going to be red in 2052 when there's
yes, that's true. Yes,
still...
think about that community call on the 4th of January in 2052 when we're going to be
You said
exactly
back in. All right, well, I think that probably about does it for time available for the questions. Hugo, do you want to share your screen and wrap up with the closing slides?
Sure thing. There you go. All right. So if you enjoyed this call and you want to give us feedback, or you didn't enjoy the call and you want us to improve, please go ahead, rate the call content, and provide us input on how we can improve by going to aka.ms/community/calls/feedback. We can add a few more slashes there if you'd like to. So provide us feedback, and we are always listening. We always want to make things better. Now, if you're cool like me and you want to join our official Discord server, my kids still don't believe that I'm on Discord. You can actually share your knowledge, ask questions, and stay updated on the latest trends and development by going to aka.ms/community/discord. We have a whole bunch of channels where we share information, and once in a while we just kind of get on board and we get connected and we just hang out and chat. And with that, we'd like to thank everyone for attending this call. The recording will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community YouTube channel at aka.ms/community/videos. Make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date. You can follow us on Twitter at Microsoft 365 Dev and at Microsoft 365 M365 PMP. Our next Viva Connection and SPFX call is going to be on January 11th. At 7 a.m. Pacific time. Our next M365 and Power Platform Community call will be January 4th. We look forward to seeing everyone there. And again, you can get all the community calls by going to aka.ms/community/calls. Don't forget, the recordings will not be available through the chat. You will have to wait for us to process the videos and post them to YouTube. And with that, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great new year.
Yes.
Be back in 2024, right?
Next year.
Well, I'm just skipping all the way to 2052.
To find out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.